We all agree now, at least on this panel, we need the galaxy. And we all know why we need the galaxy also. But what does that need to be done? We also a little bit touched upon the challenges. In particular, I want you to know, each one of you, I would like to hear from you about the land that needs to be yet purchased. What are your thoughts on that? The DDPs that needs to be made. You are an integral part of ATDC right now. What is your thought on that? And third aspect is, how do we ensure the green belt is secured? Yeah. I give you the last word, Anu, and then we open up for 3 questions perhaps from the audience. So, you have written many books on Auroville, but right now you are, even though being a celebrated writer, you are a censored writer. Yeah. So, I give you the last word. Go ahead.
Right. See, the food street, if you're talking about that, is our southern green belt, right? So the best way to defend the city, protect the city, is to build it. There's no shortcuts to that. And if we're talking about, you've all been talking because you're in the nitty-gritty of things, the buildings, the bylaws, this and that. But ultimately, it's the people. We're just 1,800 adults. After 55 years, that is just not justified by any standard, right? So the first thing, I think, this is a human project, ultimately human unity. And that's not going to be built either by making it a forest or making it only a city. We know it's an example of coexistence of both, right? So now everything falls, we're reaching a kind of crisis point. We need people, and we need the funding. We need the buildings. They all have to now go together. And if we are going to think of it just as another normal municipal town, it's just going to be a very boring project. We have to go back to thinking of it as it was meant. When she started Bharat Nivas, all these buildings, we were not even 200 people, but she was building at that scale. When she was asked about the cultural zone, the usual suggestions, I mentioned that before about schools and colleges and buildings and this and that, and she said nothing of that sort. I want auditoriums, I want galleries, I want museums. So it was a totally different stadiums, yeah, for an Olympic. It was a totally different definition, and we have to come to that scale of imagination. If we start building little like we've been doing, we're small, we build small. We have to build at that scale. We have to dream. Right now we're daydreaming. We're not even dreaming. Her dream is something else. So we have to kind of come to scale with that dream. And only that has the power to attract people. Like when we saw the galaxy plan, so many of us came there. What was it? We didn't even understand what that thing was. But there were so many of us who said, we want to be there. What was it? We didn't even know what it contained. So that is the dimension we need to harness. We need to be able to communicate that effectively. We need to be able to welcome people into that. So right now, okay, we are still in a small daydream thing. We're talking about welcoming, not volunteers, because volunteering has a very limited sense that we come, hang out, go to Food Street, do a little bit of work and go away. But really come to engage, really come to give our lives to this, give our lives to build this vision. So that dimension is the huge job. Lakshay, you're on it now, the communication part which you were asking. It's a huge job because we need to shift that way we are looking at Auroville. We're looking at Auroville, if you look at it just like another municipal town with this and that and this and that, it's totally boring. Why should people come here? Then they'll just come here to hang out in Food Street and have organic food and get a massage and go away. But that's not Auroville. We're not building Auroville with that. So that, Auroville has to be, somebody was saying, has to be at the level of what Matri Mandir has set in place. Everything that, when she actually started, she was asked why she didn't start the Matri Mandir. She said she didn't want just another temple and just a little, stuff growing around it, like all these old towns. She wanted things which would be at that dimension, would match it. So I think that's the level of breadth has to change for us. That's it.
Thank you.